concerning your ligament injuries, joint replacement surgeries, and various other polytrauma or deformities corrections.
At many hospitals, we do get cases of the various type of hernias. For the recent advances, we have even a laparoscopy, we have a robotic surgeries, which have changed the complete game about hernia surgeries.
Welcome to CVR English. This is Naresh Kumar. Let's watch the world news. Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed approval of US President Donald Trump's stance on the Ukraine conflict, stating we see the mood in the US administration under the leadership of President Trump, and we see not just calls but a sincere desire to find this solution. The comment came during the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tianjin, where Putin met with leaders including Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi. He emphasized that recent understandings reached with Trump at the Alaska summit could pave the way for peace talks, while Trump has taken a more cautious wait-and-see approach. Putin's remarks suggest Moscow is open to negotiations if core security concerns, especially NATO's eastward expansion, are addressed.
Мы еще в 2022 году предлагали украинским властям с уважением отнестись к выбору тех людей, которые проживают на юго-востоке Украины, вывести оттуда свои войска и закончить этот конфликт немедленно. И должен сказать, что в целом это не вызывало полного отторжения. Но после того, как мы по настоятельным призывам западноевропейских наших коллег отвели войска от Киева, сразу ситуация поменялась, и нам сказали, почти дословно следующее: теперь будем воевать до тех пор, пока либо вы нам голову не отвернете, либо мы вам. Вот я не помню, говорил я когда-то это публично или нет, но вот это звучало примерно так. Только в более таких грубых выражениях, но вполне открыто и, как это ни странно звучит, по-товарищески. Вот теперь или мы, или вы. И это все продолжается. Значит, мне, тем не менее, представляется, что если здравый смысл все-таки восторжествует, то договориться о приемлемом варианте прекращения этого конфликта можно. И я из этого исхожу. Тем более, что мы видим настроение действующей в США администрации под руководством президента Трампа. Видим их не просто призывы, а искреннее желание найти это решение. И мне кажется, есть определенный свет в конце тоннеля. Посмотрим, как будет складываться ситуация. Если нет, то нам придется решить все поставленные перед нами задачи. Мы еще в 2022 году предлагали украинским властям с уважением отнестись к выбору тех людей, которые проживают на юго-востоке Украины, вывести оттуда свои войска и закончить этот конфликт немедленно. И должен сказать, что в целом это не вызывало полного отторжения. Но после того, как
President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning that the United States may be forced to unwind trade agreements with key partners, including the European Union, Japan, and South Korea, if the Supreme Court upholds a recent appeals court ruling that declared many of his tariffs illegal. Speaking from the White House, Trump said, "Our country has a chance to be unbelievably rich again. It could also be unbelievable poor again. If we don't win that case, our country is going to suffer so greatly. The case centers on reciprocal tariffs imposed during trade negotiations. Legal experts say the outcome could reshape US trade policy and global economic relations.
Donald Trump says the US may have to unwind trade deals with the EU, Japan and South Korea if the Supreme Court rules against it on tariffs. The US President says his administration will ask justices to reverse an appeals court ruling that found many of the duties he imposed were illegal. It's the first time he's suggested the case could derail the trade deals, which were negotiated separately from the tariffs.
Our country has a chance to be unbelievably rich again, but it can also be unbelievably poor again. If we don't win that case, our country is going to suffer so greatly.
Analysts said the comments appeared intended to put pressure on justices before they consider the case. The Supreme Court has a 6-3 majority of Republican-appointed members. That could boost Trump's chances of getting the verdict he wants, but it's far from guaranteed. Legal experts say it's hard to call what will happen, given the unprecedented nature of the case. The appeals court ruling focused on Trump's so-called reciprocal tariffs, as well as separate duties imposed in February on China, Canada and Mexico. It excludes other levies, such as those on imported metals, which have a different legal basis. Donald Trump says the US may have to unwind trade deals with the EU, Japan and South Korea if the Supreme Court rules against it on tariffs. The US President says his administration will ask justices to reverse an appeals court ruling that found many.
French President Emmanuel Macron and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky have convened in Paris to kick off high-level defense talks with the coalition of the willing, a group of around 30 nations committed to supporting Ukraine's security. The summit, co-chaired by Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, aims to finalize a framework for security guarantees that could include deploying European troops to the Ukraine once a ceasefire is reached. Macron reaffirmed Europe's readiness to back Ukraine politically and militarily, while Zelensky emphasized the need for sustained pressure on Russia to pursue a diplomatic solution. The coalition plans remains confidential but signals a major shift in post-war security architecture.
Monsieur le Président de la République, Son Excellence Monsieur Volodymyr Zelensky, Président de l'Ukraine. Nous allons tenir cette coalition des volontaires qui réunit maintenant 35 pays. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us both in person and online. Monsieur le Président de la République, Son Excellence Monsieur Volodymyr Zelensky, Président de l'Ukraine. Nous allons tenir cette coalition des volontaires qui réunit maintenant 35 pays. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us both in person and online. Monsieur le Président de la République.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has arrived in Beijing for his first visit to China since 2019, marking only his second trip abroad in 6 years. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun confirmed that President Xi Jinping and Kim will engage in in-depth exchange of views on bilateral relations. and regional security. The visit coincides with a massive military parade commemorating the 18th anniversary of World War II's end, where Kim appeared alongside Xi and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Analysts suggest the meeting could signal deeper strategic alignment among China, North Korea and Russia amid rising global tensions. Kim's daughter, Kim Jo-ae, accompanied him, fueling speculation about a succession plan.
两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。金正恩同志来华出席93纪念活动，和两党两国最高领导人举行会谈，具有两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。金正恩同志来华出席93纪念活动，和两党两国最高领导人举行会谈，具有两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。金正恩同志来华出席93纪念活动，和两党两国最高领导人举行会谈，具有两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。金正恩同志来华出席93纪念活动，和两党两国最高领导人举行会谈，具有两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。金正恩同志来华出席93纪念活动，和两党两国最高领导人举行会谈，具有两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。金正恩同志来华出席93纪念活动，和两党两国最高领导人举行会谈，具有两党两国领导人将举行会谈，就中朝关系和共同关心的问题深入交换意见。
US state to eliminate all vaccine mandates, including those for school children, daycare centers and public institutions. State Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo, backed by the Governor Ron DeSantis, called current requirements immoral and an infringement on personal rights. The move marks a dramatic shift from decades of public health policy aimed at preventing outbreaks of diseases like measles, polio and hepatitis B. Critics, including pediatricians and public health experts, warn this could trigger widespread disease resurgence and jeopardize vulnerable populations. Democratic leaders in other states have formed an alliance to uphold immunization standards amid growing concerns over politicization of health policy.
Well, good morning. What a crowd. Thanks so much. And, I think about something like, a newborn baby, do they need that hepatitis shot? It's like, what's the rationale for it? I mean, we know how you can get that. Okay, so a baby needs that. And then if they do it, are there drawbacks for it? And usually they just tell you there's never a drawback for anything. Let me tell you, anything you take could have a potential drawback. I mean, that's just the reality. But today I'm pleased to announce the establishment of the Florida MAHA Commission as a working group which will recommend state-level integration of these Make America Healthy principles. And those principles are, as I mentioned, individual medical freedom, informed consent, parent rights, and also market innovation.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. All of them. It's wrong. It's immoral. They do not have the right to tell you what you put in your body. So people are going to have to make a decision. People are going to have to choose a side. And I am telling you right now that, you know, the moral side it's so simple. No one has that right, guys. People have a right to make their own decisions, informed decisions. You want to put, you know, whatever different vaccines in your body, God bless you. I hope you make an informed decision. You don't want to put whatever vaccines in your body, God bless you. And I hope you make an informed decision. And
Good morning.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers have unveiled the Restore Trust and Congress Act, a bipartisan bill that would prohibit members of Congress, their spouses and dependent children from owning or trading individual stocks. Spearheaded by Reps Chip Roy and Seth Magaziner, the legislation requires lawmakers to divest within 180 days of enactment, with the new members required to do so before taking office. Violators would face fines equal to 10% of the stock's value. The bill reflects growing public pressure to eliminate conflicts of interest and insider trading concerns, with support from leaders across the political spectrum, including Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump.
We have the opportunity before us to answer the mandate given to us by the American people, who respect banning stock trading in Congress, and we should not waste time. I would note that Speaker Johnson has said that he supports banning trading of stocks among members of Congress. President Trump has said he supports it. Secretary Bessent has said that he supports it. We're going to get a vote on this. This is a non-debatable proposition.
Those of us who support banning stock trading in Congress are very vocal in our position. But that doesn't mean that there aren't opponents. It's just that the opponents don't say it so vocally, but they say it quietly behind closed doors, and they're very persistent, believe me.
It's not every day you see this cast of characters up here, because you're all smirking out there, but that's a good thing, and it speaks to the power of this cause. Members of Congress, just by being on the floor of the House, have a much more clear purview being behind the curtain of whether a CR is going to pass or not, whether there will be a government shutdown, is AI regulation going to pass or not. And for anybody in this institution to trade off that information is illegal and unethical, both. We are dealing with the ethics piece. The criminal law will remain on the books.
This bill gets around many of the loopholes that existed before in some of the other pieces of legislation. There's real accountable fines here, where perhaps when you make your first mistake, that's a pretty low fine. But after that, there is a 10% penalty and disgorgement of profits, which is really, really important, because there needs to be some way to...
Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse rallied on Capitol Hill, urging lawmakers to release all investigative files tied to the late financial sex trafficking network. The emotional press conference featured first-hand accounts from women who were groomed and exploited by Epstein and his associated Ghislaine Maxwell. Many spoke publicly for the first time, calling for transparency and accountability. The bipartisan push in Congress includes a discharge petition led by Reps Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna to compel the Justice Department to unseal the so-called Epstein files. Survivors also condemned former President Donald Trump's dismissal of the issue as a Democrat hoax, insisting this is a real trauma. We are real human beings.
There is something that is rotten in Washington. Less than 1% of these files have been released. We are demanding today on the discharge petition that all of the files be released.
Now, the Speaker of the House just offered a fig leaf to my colleagues. They're going to vote on a non-binding resolution today that does absolutely nothing. I appreciate the efforts of my colleague James Comer, who's leading the Oversight Committee. They may find some information, but they're allowing the DOJ to curate all of the information that the DOJ is giving them.
We aren't here just to ask for transparency, though. We're here, too, to ask for protection. The women here represent hundreds of other women who we have spoken to, many of whom were trafficked from other countries, from Eastern European countries where women don't have the rights that we have here.
The days of sweeping this under the rug are over. We, the survivors, say no more.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before. I've done some with Tufts, but look, this country is divided, it's exhausted. This is one thing that we can come together on.
So this isn't one political party or the other. It's a culmination of everyone work together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal. And this is not just rich, powerful people. Think his drivers, his maids.
Lisbon's iconic Elevador da Gloria, a funicular, derailed during the evening rush hour, killing 15 people and injuring 18 others, including a child and several foreign nationals. The crash occurred around 6:15 p.m. as the streetcar descended a steep hill and reportedly slammed into a building after the safety cable snapped. Eyewitnesses described the vehicle as out of control with no brakes, and emergency teams rescued all victims within 2 hours. Lisbon Mayor Carlos Moedas declared a 3-day mourning period. While Portugal's government announced a national day of mourning, all other funicular lines have been suspended. Pending investigation, the Elevador da Gloria, a national monument and a tourist favorite, was near full capacity at the time.
Injured were in serious condition and a child was among the injured, according to the National Institute for Medical Emergencies. The government said an investigation into the causes would begin once the rescue operation is over. The company that operates the streetcar said scheduled maintenance had been carried out. Portugal's government announced that a day of national mourning would be observed on Thursday. Known as Elevador da Gloria, the streetcar is classified as a national monument and it attracts many of the millions of tourists who held, killing 15 people in what officials are calling one of the city's worst tragedies in recent memory. Here's what to know. At around 6 p.m. during the evening rush hour, the streetcar appeared out of control going down the hill, according to eyewitnesses. As well as those killed, a further 18 people have been injured in the derailment that authorities called an accident. 5 of the injured were in serious condition and a child was among the injured, according to the National Institute for Medical Emergencies. The government said an investigation into the causes would begin once the rescue operation is over. The company that operates
Punjab is reeling from its worst flood since 1988, with over 3.7 lakh acres of farmland submerged and extensive damage to the livestock reported. Across border districts like Gurdaspur, Firozpur and Fazilka, the deluge has affected over 3.55 lakh people in 1,655 villages, prompting the state to declare itself a disaster-hit region. Floodwaters have also damaged 110 kilometers of the India-Pakistan border, fenced and inundated 90 BSF posts. Raising security concerns, rescue operations are underway with support from the NDRF, Army and Air Force, while 167 relief camps have been set up to shelter displaced families. The Bakra Dam remains dangerously close to capacity, and further water discharge could worsen conditions. A fast-moving wildfire known as the 625 fire has devastated Chinese camp, a historic gold rush era town in Tuolumne County, California, originally settled around 1,850 by Chinese miners who were expelled from a nearby camp. The blaze, sparked by lightning, is part of the TCU September Lightning Complex, which includes over 22 active fights across Tuolumne and Calaveras countries. The fire has scorched more than 6,400 acres, destroyed multiple homes, and prompted mandatory evacuations. Despite the destruction, some historic buildings, including the town's post office and 1,854 church, remain standing. Firefighters continue battling the flames with over 600 personnel deployed, while Governor Gavin Newsom has secured federal assistance to support containment efforts. Survivors of the devastating 6.0 magnitude earthquake that struck Kunar province in eastern Afghanistan on August 31st continue to live in fear as powerful aftershocks rattle the region, with tremors occurring every few minutes. And many residents have abandoned their damaged homes and are sheltering in the open, braving harsh conditions without adequate relief. The quake killed over 1,400 people and injured more than 3,000, flattening villages and overwhelming local hospitals. Roads remain blocked, isolating remote communities like Nurgal and Suki, where survivors reported assistance as they arrive. The Taliban government has appealed for international aid, but funding shortages and geopolitical tensions have slowed relief efforts.
45 at night. With one shake, everything was destroyed. Our village lies between Nurgal and Suki districts, and so far no assistance has reached us. There are 4 or 5 villages, and the road is completely blocked. Some of the wounded have been taken out, but many remain. We have around 160 people killed and between 180 to 190 injured.
Out in the open, it's a very painful situation.
The earthquake started around 11:45 at night. With one shake, everything was destroyed. Our village lies between Nurgal and Suki.
That's the wrap up of the world news. Keep watching CVR English News.
Around 3,000 people at Britain's Lloyd's Group, judged to be among the bottom 5%, will find dismissal. That's according to a source familiar with the matter. They added that Lloyd's expects around half that number will lose their jobs unless their work improves. CEO Charlie Nunn is pursuing cost cuts. Along with other banks in Britain, Lloyd's has reduced its high street presence. In January, it said it would shut